Hello YouTube, welcome to the shop. A couple weeks ago I made a shaper fence. This will also work as a table saw fence. It's a Biesemeyer style and it's all made out of wood. So I bought this shaper for 200 bucks off of a guy, and whenever I bought it, it didn't have a fence or anything to go with it, so I decided to build one. And this fence is all made out of wood. It's got a front rail in the front and then the typical tube rail in the back. And it also has quick removable, just like a Biesemeyer, where you can pick it up and take it off. Here is the side of it, and I have the side support arm too. It's all made out of oak. So here is a close-up of how I made the locking mechanism. It is a cam lock. And then all I did was take linkage up to the top. That way the handle was on the top of the fence. You can see it's dadoed. I've used dado joints in this. And I don't know if you can see it, but right there is the cam. Whenever I move the lever, if I can, it locks it. Overall, it's a pretty good fence. If you pay special attention to how straight the typical tube would be, it's pretty good. There's no bushings in these bolts. They are just drilled in there and then locked in with a nut and washer on the other side. These will be loose, but I'm not too worried about it. You're probably wondering why I decided to put the locking mechanism on the back side of the shaper, and that's because of this mill slot. I don't know why Delta designed it this way, but the hand wheel and on-off switch was designed to be in the front of the cabinet, but the mill slot is on the side, so you actually operate it from the side of the machine. So I decided to put my fence back there, being that I'd be operating from the side. I'm right-handed, so I could just quickly unlock it. So whenever I came up with this locking mechanism, I wanted it to lock into place, and by that, snap into place. So whenever you lock it, it stays back. This arm actually swings past its radius, and with the tension, it will detension a little bit, but it's not bad enough that it loses its grip. When you're building this, pay special attention to this L bracket and your linkage. You want this to be as strong as possible because this is where all of the forces are taken up as. I wanted this to be able to actually move the machine with just the fence. And if I can do this without hitting the tripod, now this is a 300-pound machine, and I just moved it with the fence, only the fence. And you might say, oh, well, he screwed it down or glued it down. Well, I didn't. There it is. So we're now looking at the bottom side of this, and this is where the cam is. And this is the L bracket that sits on the tube. This is not adjustable. The only way to adjust it is to unscrew all the screws and then pivot it slightly and mess around with the screws. But once you get it straight, you pretty much end up leaving it there and never having to mess with it. And being that I'm using this on a shaper, as long as the face of the fence is straight, it doesn't matter if this isn't quite square to the miter slots because you almost never use it in conjunction with the miter slot. This front rail is just a piece of 3/4 inch oak that I have bolts hammered in, 2 of them, and then nuts and washers on the back side. The back rail is a tube, and you can kind of see how this all works together. On the bottom here, the tube is actually glued and screwed to this L bracket, and then the L bracket is bolted onto the shaper the same way. I have actually not used the fence yet. Being that this is a shaper, I'm going to have a couple faces on the front that will be adjustable on their width for the opening for different size router bits. This shaper is mentioned in one of my earlier videos. I have managed to get it wired. It's a 3-phase, 1.5 horsepower motor, and I have a cheap little Chinese magnetic motor starter on it. It is rusty. The paint's chipped, it's worn, it's had its fair share of use. The bearings are still good. I converted it over to single phase, and you can see how I ran my electrical wires through the cabinet. And then it goes over to a 3-phase converter. And that does my conversion from single phase power to 3-phase. It is not quite running properly yet. I need to fine-tune something. There's a wire misplaced on the 3-phase that is tripping the magnetic motor starter whenever I start it. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Google+, and now follow me on Facebook. I did get a Facebook account. It is the same name as my YouTube channel, The Woodworker 01. Thank you. We'll see you next time.